I feel that as a children, we teach them, we guide them, and then we give them the wings to fly.
15 women have accused him of sexual assault. We've heard about the Stormy Daniels story, that he allegedly paid $130,000. He taught me, all the mathematical tables, and by the time I got into 3rd grade, the teacher said, she's just passed all the standardized tests up to 12th grade. We've got to move her out. So I moved. They found a place for me in Manhattan. I was reluctant to share it, actually.
Why?
I will tell you. Because I knew that it would get pickup. I knew that it would be Sunny Hostin from The View. And
so what?
I know.
But this happened to you. You weren't lying.
It happened, but I will tell you, right after it happened, I went over to Joy Behar's house. And she said, what's wrong with you? You're not your usual self. And I told her, and she said, we're talking about this on the show. Right? They had a vision of how do we create community and create a space where we are welcome in a country where we are not welcome. And I think that was the goal, has been the goal, and they have really maintained that goal. 15 women have accused him of sexual assault. We've heard about the Stormy Daniels story, that he allegedly paid $130,000.
Were you pissed that she canceled on your show?
I was. Only because, we're a very supportive environment for women. I mean, I think any guest will tell you that.
Melania Trump just made a move no one saw coming, going after The View with a massive $50 million defamation lawsuit. And from what's being said, this isn't just about one offhand remark. This is about a pattern, one that she's apparently had enough of. According to sources familiar with the case, it all started when Sunny Hostin made a comment that struck a nerve. And not just any comment, something that allegedly crossed the line from opinion to outright defamation. But here's the real shocker. The legal fallout from this might have been so severe that it reportedly led to The View getting canceled altogether. Think about that for a second. A show that's been on air for decades, a staple in daytime television, gone just like that. If this lawsuit is really as explosive as it sounds, then we're talking about one of the biggest shakeups in entertainment history. But what exactly did they say? And why would Melania take it this far? There's a lot to unpack here. And trust me, the details are wilder than you think. The View has never exactly been shy when it comes to controversy. In fact, that's kind of what it's known for: heated debates, strong opinions, and more than a few moments that have left people talking. But this time, they might have pushed things too far. It all started when Sunny Hostin made a comment about Melania Trump's personal history, something that, according to sources, wasn't just opinion but a repetition of unverified rumors making the rounds on social media. And at first, no one at The View seemed too worried. After all, they've dealt with backlash before. They've stirred the pot plenty of times and come out just fine. But then, things took a turn. Behind the scenes, whispers started spreading. Whispers about a lawsuit. Not just any lawsuit, either. A defamation case worth a jaw-dropping $50 million. That's the kind of money that makes networks nervous. And suddenly, this wasn't just another controversial segment. It was a legal disaster waiting to happen. People started paying attention. Executives, producers, lawyers. They all knew that if Melania was serious, this could get ugly fast. And from what's being said, they were absolutely right. That's when things got real. ABC's legal team received a letter. One that, according to insiders, came straight from Melania Trump's lawyers. And it wasn't just a warning. It was a clear message. This is happening. Suddenly, The View was in crisis mode. Behind closed doors, an internal review was launched to determine whether Sunny Hostin's comments had actually crossed the legal threshold into defamation. Producers were scrambling, trying to figure out the best course of action. Should they apologize? Issue a retraction? But not everyone was on board. Sunny Hostin reportedly refused. From what's being said, she believed that apologizing would be like admitting guilt, something she wasn't willing to do. And with that, the situation became even messier. That's when The View's legal team made an unprecedented move. They told all the hosts, every single one of them, to stop mentioning Melania Trump on air. No discussion, no debates, just silence. And if that doesn't scream serious, nothing does. Behind the scenes, tensions were at an all-time high. The usual fiery debates, gone. The snarky comments and sharp jokes, dialed way down. It was obvious. The co-hosts were walking on eggshells, afraid of saying the wrong thing. Even Joy Behar, who never holds back, started holding back. People noticed. Her usual jabs, softer. Her jokes, careful. It was like everyone had a silent agreement. Melania Trump was now the one topic they couldn't touch. But then, Sunny Hostin pushed the limits. During a live segment, she tried to shift the conversation, bringing up the dangers of legal threats against free speech. And while she never said Melania's name directly, everyone knew what she meant. It was a clear shot at the lawsuit, and producers were not having it. Frantic hand signals from behind the cameras told her to stop, switch topics, move on. But it was too late. The damage was done. Then came the commercial break. And that's when chaos erupted. According to sources close to the show, producers stormed in furious. Hosts were being scolded. Tensions boiled over. And what had already been a stressful situation just exploded. It wasn't just about one comment anymore. It was about control. And The View was starting to lose it. That's when everything started falling apart. The View wasn't the same anymore. The energy was off. The debates felt forced. The fire was gone. Instead of their usual sharp takes, the show shifted to fluffier, safer content. Celebrity gossip, lighthearted news, anything to avoid another legal mess. And the audience noticed. Ratings started dropping fast. People tuned in expecting the usual drama, the heated debates, the unfiltered opinions. But instead, they got watered-down conversations that felt off. It wasn't the View they were used to. And once the ratings dipped, the real nightmare began. Advertisers started pulling out. Companies didn't want to be associated with a show caught up in a $50 million legal battle. The uncertainty, the bad press, it was all too risky. Within 2 weeks, major sponsors backed out. ABC was now facing an impossible choice: fight for the show or cut their losses before things got even worse. Behind the scenes, the debates were brutal. Executives knew The View was a legacy program, but was it worth the legal headaches, the money loss, the bad PR? And that's when the unthinkable happened, the decision that no one thought they'd actually make. Then came the final blow. ABC executives announced what they called a temporary hiatus. But insiders knew the truth. This wasn't a break. The View was done for good. No grand farewell. No emotional send-off. Just silence. One day it was on the air. Then it was gone. Staff members were left scrambling. Some blindsided. Others seeing the writing on the wall, but hoping it wouldn't actually come to this. Careers that had been tied to the show for years were suddenly up in the air. And for Sunny Hostin, the weight of it all was crushing. According to sources close to her, she took it the hardest, knowing that a few words, a single moment, had spiraled into something that took down an entire show. Guilt, frustration, regret. It all reportedly haunted her. Meanwhile, Whoopi Goldberg and Joy Behar played it safe, staying silent or offering vague, cryptic responses when asked. They weren't about to get tangled up in any more legal trouble. If anything, they seemed ready to move on, letting the storm pass while keeping their distance. But outside of ABC, the entertainment industry was in shock. A daytime giant, one of the longest-running talk shows in history, brought down not by ratings, not by network changes, but by a lawsuit. It was almost unheard of. Some called it a warning sign. Others called it a wake-up call. Either way, The View was over, and no one saw it coming. The fallout didn't stop when The View went dark. If anything, it only got more intense. People were split. Some saying Melania had every right to stand up for herself, that she was finally holding the media accountable for reckless rumors. Others saw it as a dangerous attack on free speech. a chilling precedent where a single lawsuit could silence an entire show. And here's the thing, the lawsuit wasn't over. Not even close. Depositions were scheduled, with former employees now fearing they'd be dragged into the legal battle. Who knew what would come out in those testimonies? What emails? What behind-the-scenes conversations? What internal decisions could be exposed? The uncertainty sent waves through the industry. And now, The View's legacy hangs in limbo. Could another network revive it? Would ABC ever risk bringing it back? The legal risks alone made it unlikely. No network wants to touch a brand that could still be facing a multi-million-dollar lawsuit. So for now, The View remains frozen in time. One of the most shocking cancellations in television history, and no one knows if it's gone for good or if this is just another chapter in its story. If there's one thing this entire situation proves, it's that even the biggest names in media aren't untouchable. The View had been around for decades, survived countless controversies, yet one lawsuit was enough to bring it all crashing down. And this wasn't just about money. It was about power, about reputation, about what happens when legal threats go beyond just talk and actually start reshaping the industry. Here's what we learned. Defamation lawsuits can destroy even the strongest brands. One lawsuit, $50 million on the line, and suddenly, a show that had been a staple in daytime television was wiped off the air. The chilling effect on free speech is real. Whether you think The View crossed the line or not, the message was clear. Say the wrong thing, and you might find yourself in a legal nightmare. For networks, for journalists, for talk show hosts, this changes everything. Money talks loudly. At the end of the day, sponsors don't care about drama. They care about stability. And the second they sensed trouble, they pulled out, accelerating The View's downfall. Public perception is everything. Melania's legal team played this perfectly. They didn't just file a lawsuit, they controlled the narrative. Instead of The View framing it as a free speech issue, the lawsuit turned it into a reckless media problem. And once that idea took hold, the damage was irreversible. So now the big question remains, where does this all lead? Is this a warning shot for other media personalities? Or just another moment in the ever-evolving battle between celebrities and the press? One thing's for sure, this story is far from over. At the end of the day, this wasn't just about The View. It was about something bigger, a message, a warning, a shift in how high-profile figures fight back against the media. Melania Trump's lawsuit wasn't just a reaction. It was a strategy, a deliberate move to draw a line in the sand and say, enough is enough. And it worked. Whether you agree with her or not, the impact is undeniable. This wasn't just about clearing her name. It was about setting a precedent. A reminder that media outlets, no matter how big, aren't immune to consequences when they cross certain lines. But it also raises a massive question. Where do we go from here? Does this change the way talk shows operate? Will networks start playing it safer? And more importantly, what does this mean for free speech? Because let's be honest, if a lawsuit can take down The View, what's stopping others from using the same playbook? So now it's your turn. Was this a justified lawsuit or a dangerous overreach? Let's hear what you think in the comments below.